Pretty Girl Club, guess who learned how to do reaction videos? So I came across this idiotic video the other day, and guess what? From here on out, any other videos that are addressing exoticals will be directly responded to by me. I also noticed that she turned the comments off because she knew she was going to get flamed, but let's go ahead and listen to what she has to say.
All the little dummy exotical channels come.
I find it interesting how you're talking about dummy exotical channels when you literally hardly have a channel at all. And see, this is the thing. I've noticed that whenever people want to argue against exotical channels, they can never come for the talking points. All they can say is, you guys must be delusional. You guys must be ugly. You guys must be white women. There's never anything that's actually coming for the talking points. But let's continue.
Up trying to talk about with no face, no body, shy.
Do you see how once again she's giving the same idiotic talking point? You're not showing your face or your body. Okay, but you showing your face and your body is not helping your talking points, because showing your face and your body, it doesn't make you more credible. There are plenty of people who show their own faces and bodies on YouTube all the time, and they're scammers. And then there are plenty of people who are anonymous on YouTube, and they're telling the truth. So has anyone ever noticed that when it comes to the pretty privilege conversation, or I guess the exotical conversation in this case, suddenly we are supposed to show our faces, show exactly who we are. Everybody needs to be able to judge us. And last time I checked, nobody's holding the gun to your head begging you to watch my channel. We've got 20,000 other people on this YouTube channel who can relate to the content. So my thing is, if a person doesn't like the channel, why would they continue watching it? And this is exactly the psychology that I'm talking about. I don't care what her racial background is, because what I'm saying is true regardless of your race or skin color. The type of person who can be easily rage baited is not a mentally stable person. So this girl is so mentally dysregulated and emotionally dysregulated by the existence of the exotical space, to the point where she's literally recording a random video and she can't handle the heat. She couldn't handle the smoke. So of course she had to remove her comment section. So that's why I decided to go ahead and make a reaction video right here. But it's like, if you don't like the content, why not just keep scrolling? Why not just watch something more interesting? I mean, since you're not delusional, since you're so smart and intellectual, and also for the people who want to argue about the existence of our space, usually the people that are the most aggressive are the ones who they don't have a community of their own. Maybe their community is dying off, or their talking points are no longer relevant, or they're like this person where they just randomly come on here and they think that by showing themselves that somehow that's going to scare the exoticals off from responding. Or in some cases, it reminds me how on Lipstick Alley, where I've had light-skinned Black women or fellow mixed race biracial women come online, and they think that because they are mixed race, or because they would be what I would consider an exotical, like that somehow makes it okay for them to talk shit. Oh no, I'm going to clap back whether you're Black, white, or anything in between.
No face, talking about how they're an exotical. I've even seen people deleting their faces off their pages when they used to have their face on their fucking page, deleting their faces to go and talk shit and say how they're an exotical.
So my first question is, why would you care about someone showing their face or not, especially if you think they're delusional? If I think someone is delusional, I would scroll right past them. I wouldn't be keeping track of who's showing themselves, who's not showing themselves. You're not the queen of YouTube. You don't get to tell people how to run their YouTube channels. And actually, instead of making this video, you could have made some actual content for your YouTube channel. But I can tell by what she's saying, though, that she associates being an exotical with being beautiful, because she is trying to invalidate the experiences of exoticals by saying you're not showing your face. And it's like, just because people aren't showing their faces, it doesn't mean that their talking points are invalid. It doesn't mean that the products are invalid. You go to companies all the time, you don't know the face behind the company. You purchase things online all the time, you don't know the face behind the person who created those makeup products. You listen to podcasts all the time where you don't know the person who created it. You watch movies, you don't know what the director looks like. But suddenly, when it comes to exoticals, they have to be invalidated because they're not showing themselves. And I've noticed that there are a couple of types of people who get upset at the existence of exoticals. It's either people who get mad that I have dark-skinned women on my channel. That's one group. Group number two is people who get mad that I have monoracial Black women on my channel. And group three is either biracial women or fellow mixed women or fellow exoticals themselves who realize that they didn't have the experiences that we talk about on my channel. And also my question is, what does this woman have to gain from posting this because my channel is monetized. So I'm actually getting paid for this content right now. I'm getting paid for reacting. Are you getting paid for making this video? Like, is this building your community at all? Because I've noticed that usually women who are not good content creators, they don't actually know how to build their own community. So then they try to come and just randomly argue with people, but then they can't even argue against the talking points.
When I saw your picture, know the fuck your name. You're not an Exotical.
So I don't know whose picture she's talking about, but if she's talking about someone dark-skinned, this would prove my point. Or if she's talking about someone monoracially black, I don't know who she's talking about when it comes to pictures. But also my question is, once again, if we're so delusional, why do you care about this space? Why do you care who considers themselves to be an exotical or not? This reminds me of the light-skinned people who argue back and forth with other light skins. And then they say, well, you're not light skinned because you're one shade darker than me. And it's like, guess what? Skin tone is subjective. Exoticism is also subjective because it's based on a social construct. So just because one random person on the internet who was too cowardly to leave her comment section open says that someone is not an exotical, that doesn't take away from the lifetime of experiences they've had. And also, if the exotical space is delusional and stupid and we are dumbass channels, then why would you care who calls themselves an exotical, right? Why would you care if that's a dumb term, if we're just a bunch of dummies? Then you wouldn't care who's an exotical or who calls herself one and who doesn't. And so she's attempting to diss this space on YouTube while simultaneously still pedestalizing this space.
You're not cute. You're making these channels to feel on your delusion.
So I love how she says you're not cute, as if that's supposed to destroy our self-esteem. Last time I checked, my self-esteem or my level of cuteness is determined based on myself. Hence why it's called self-esteem and not internet esteem. And also, I don't know if she's talking about my channel or if she's talking about another exotical channel, but either way, she's talking about my community. So who are you to tell someone that they're cute or not? Last time I checked, different people have different experiences. So just because you didn't have the same experience as people on this channel, or maybe women of different complexions or different backgrounds on this channel, it doesn't mean that suddenly they're not cute. And so that comment didn't eat like you think it was gonna eat.
Like, I'm not saying I'm the baddest bitch out, but I'm never gonna give advice on something I don't know about.
Also, who said that any of our channels are advice channels? Because last time I checked, I specifically say all the time, this is not an advice channel. And also, since you're so smart and you're such a critical thinker, why don't you use those critical thinking skills to build your own YouTube channel? You know, since you have so much authority on giving advice. And this goes back into my talking point where some people, they literally watch the exotical space and it's a form of self-harm, because I say this all the time. Only watch this type of content if you can relate to it. So if you can't relate to the experience of like having pretty privilege, maybe being pedestalized sometimes, you know, you have a black experience, but you also have an ambiguous experience in the sense that maybe you get othered, maybe people fawn over you sometimes. If you don't have that experience, that is totally fine. It just means you can't relate to the channel, and that's okay. But just because you can't relate doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So just because you think somebody's not cute, that doesn't mean that she can't ever have pretty privilege, because beauty is subjective. And also notice how she doesn't point fingers or name names. Like, she doesn't pull up pictures of the channel. She doesn't pull up pictures of the face. I mean, I have a picture of her right here. Like, whenever I'm calling somebody out, I'm going to pull up the picture of their channel. I'm going to pull up the exact video. I'm going to pull up their channel name. And so she's literally ranting about God knows who. And she's this triggered over exotical channels, yet she's not explaining why she's so triggered, as if we're begging her to watch our channels.
Like, where's your credentials? If you're so bad, show your face.
So I find it interesting how she says, where are your credentials? So my first question is, what are the credentials to beauty, since you're so smart? I mean, let's talk about this. What are the credentials to being considered beautiful? Because do you think you meet those credentials? Do you think that whoever you're talking about didn't meet those credentials? So anytime somebody starts trying to argue with my talking points, oh, you better be ready to tell me the definitions of what you're talking about. So what are the credentials of beauty to you? And what are the credentials of what makes someone ugly? I would love for you to pull up pictures of what you consider to be pretty and what you consider to be ugly. Name names, name facial features, name hair textures and skin tones. And I 100% guarantee you she's probably not going to.
Show your face. bitch. Like, oh, I have a job that your job's not gonna give a fuck.
So again, I'm not sure who she's talking about people trying to protect their jobs, but just because you don't have anything to protect in real life, just because you don't feel like you have opportunities to protect in your everyday life, that doesn't mean that's the same for everybody. And also, if showing your face is the key to YouTube growth, well, then where are all of your subscribers? Where's your community? Where's your Patreon page? Where's your course? I mean, since we're bad giving advice over here, well, then where's your advice and what is the advice? What are the credentials of being a bad bitch according to you? Because last time I checked, you didn't mention any.
That you're just talking about being an exotical and how pretty you are and how much black women just hate you and they attack you. Nobody's gonna care.
So first of all, when it comes to Exoticals talking about their experiences, I've noticed that you didn't mention anything about random troll channels. You didn't mention anything about your own channel trolling. You don't care what other niches on YouTube are talking about. But suddenly, when Exoticals share their life experiences, nobody gives a fuck. So if nobody gives a fuck, why are you making a response video on it? Like, I mean, if nobody cares. And also, when you say that you think people's jobs aren't going to care, whether people are telling the truth or not about their jobs, that's none of your business, right? Because we're just a bunch of delusional exoticals. So then why do you care how someone operates in their own business?
Because that's the narrative that's already being pushed. That's a narrative that's already being pushed, babe.
So I noticed she said that's a narrative that's already being pushed. Being pushed by who? And also, if you have a better narrative to push and you have so much to say, again, where's your channel? Where are your videos? Where are your 40-minute long streams? Where are your live streams? Where are your sources? Where are your credentials? Anyway, what do you ladies think? Let me know in the comments section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.